Up, everybody? Welcome back to another Tuesday night chat with the Muskrat and Mr. Creole Catfishing. What's up, my buddy?
Oh, same thing. Coming to you on location from the lovely Helena, Arkansas.
Helena, Arkansas.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like an episode of Groundhog's Day here.
I know.
We gotta get you out of there, man.
Hey, I agree wholeheartedly. Now, I'm plenty of time at home, plenty of time off, but I can't find myself home on a Tuesday night. That's the problem. But you know how it is. Got to make money somehow.
Unfortunately, the bills I pay them, and they just keep sending more.
I know that's insulting.
It's like I just paid that one. Like, you got
so rude.
Hey, real quick, we'll say hello to a couple folks hanging out with us in chat, and then we'll get started for tonight. I see Brian, Mr. Big Wrench Catfishing, #1 in the house. What's up, brother? Jeff Beal, Pontoon Jody's in the house as well. Mike Snow, what's up, buddy? Our buddy Matt over Stonefly 71. Dave Garcher, River Warrior brother Zach out catching bait. Got a fishing trip planned in the morning.
You.
Looks like he's says he's up to 27 skipjack, a couple white bass, so he's off to a great start.
Nice.
Mike Greenwell's in the house screaming, "Let's go." I seen his unboxing video from his Mad Catz Carbine Patriot rod he won on the show.
Nice.
And he's already putting fish on it, man. So
good. Very good.
Awesome. That is a sweet looking rod.
It is.
Let's see who else we got hanging out with us here real quick. Big Slim 91's in the house. Miss Becca is here with us as well. Welcome, Becca. That's the 922 Crappie Barbecue. Laura, the Explorer, is in the house.
What's going on, Miss Laura?
Let's see. Sean T's in the house saying, "I refuse to take the pill." I'm not sure. Is he talking about Plan B?
Yeah. I think he went the other direction with that one.
Yeah. After we posted the name of the show tonight is Plan B.
Yeah.
I had thoughts. No, we're not talking about the morning after pill.
No. That's a whole different show.
That's a different show. That show starts tonight at 11.
Yeah. Okay.
Dad's in the house. What's up, buddy? There's Chris. What's up, buddy? El Gato Azul, slime lover from Texas. Eddie River Junkies in the house. Let's see who else. We got Richard Fishing and Freedom. Been talking to Richard today. Last couple of days, actually.
Cool.
Let's see who else we got.
Aaron
Grubb. What's up, buddy? Don't let us down. Well, we'll try not to. We'll do our very best. She said, looking a bit homeless. He's not homeless.
Hey, I do that. I do that on purpose. That way, nobody steals me away while I'm over here. I mean, look, I do it for you, honey. I do. I really do.
That's right. Yeah, because he wouldn't make the show if I don't know where I was going. Crappie Day Fish On. What's up, buddy? Thanks for tuning in. So tonight's show is we're talking about how many times do you go out and you have everything prepared and you're ready to go. You go to launch the boat in the water, or you even put the boat in the water, or you hit the bank and boom, everything is wrong. Nothing is what you expected it to be. From one extreme to the other. And what do you do? What you do and how you handle it will determine whether you're successful or whether, you pack your stuff up or you just have a miserable time. You have no confidence in what you're doing and what's going on. And believe it or not, that happens all the time. It happens all the time to me. And Jeremy says it happens all the time to him. Often either at the beginning of the day, even in the middle of the day, you just say, crap, now what? You're like, what are we going to do? And so, tonight's show isn't going to be so much about like the techniques and what you need to do, but how to approach the situations to prepare yourself to, make yourself more, what do we say? Diverse.
Yeah. Diverse. Oh, hey, we're using big words tonight. I like it.
All right. So diversity will be our big word of the night.
Yep.
And hey, we got our other River Warrior brothers, Skip's in the house, Clearview Outdoors. What's up, buddy? Hey, thanks for tuning in. I seen Miss Laura's checking in. I hope she's feeling better. Feeling better. 205 Wild Actions in the house. So, Jeremy, we'll start with you.
Okay.
So, you guys got a lot of flow, right? It's your norm. It's your norm. You are prepared for heavy flow. You got big weights, big tackle, and you're ready to go. You decide you're going to fish another river or tributary. And hey, what's up, River Cats Tackle?
Going on with the John.
And you get there, and there's no flow. And you are a big flow guy, right? You used to deal with big, nasty water in the Mississippi. And so how do you, like, talk me through a little bit of mentally, and then like the thought process of what changes and what happens here?
Yeah, well, I know for me, because we always kind of do the same thing. We'll come in towards that hydro expecting to bump, expecting to do this. And it has happened to us before where when we round the point by that channel, all of a sudden the boat picks up like 4 miles an hour. Like, that ain't good. That's not good at all. We get there and it's just flat water, no running water. It's like, great. Now what? For us, the immediate first thing I'm going to try to do, and I have that option in my area because I've got a whole other river feeding my area. All right, we got to back out because I know in my area when that flow gets shut off, those big fish, they gone. They are gone. They get out of there. You can hang around and catch some dinks. You can, but big fish, gone. They out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to back out of that channel where the dam is, then basically back up to the first nearest place that I can find some flow. Okay, that's for me, that's always option number one, is to find myself some flow. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes you have to go to the extreme to maybe or do a little thinking outside the box to find a little flow. It has happened to where I had no flow at my dams and nothing coming out of Red River either. It was just nothing. Well, next thought in my mind is, okay, get on. And usually I'm looking at this stuff before I go fishing anyway. But I'm going to open up my river app. I'm going to say, okay, has there been a rise and then a fall? Because in my experience, if the river has come up, the higher the better. If it's come up, and then if I'm in that 24 to 72 hour period in the fall where it's falling back out, what will happen is the main part of the river will not have any flow, but any little bayou, creek, anything feeding into that river, that rise pushed water in it. And now that it's falling in that time period, it's going to be pulling water back out of it. So what it's going to do is going to pull a little water to the main channel and a lot of times make a little bit of a mud line coming in. That has been some spots that has saved my butt more than once if you can hit it at the right time. But that's option number two. If that situation does not prevent itself, in my opinion, there's not but one thing left to do. You switch to some dragon rigs, you get out the planer boards, start covering water, because my fish are used to flow. They're very flow oriented. When there's no flow, they scatter. They're scattered. There's nothing left to congregate those fish.
Thank you, buddy.
So the only choice you have now is to cover some water.
And that's it. We go to extremes all the time, and that's kind of this scenario here. And so I'll just kind of back up and give you kind of what brought this on tonight. This is our river. This is at Greenup. Zach and I had flow for days. You can see the river here, on the graph. It was up pretty good, and we still have pretty good flow. Zach and I got geared up and ready to go. We got up the next morning to go bumping, and boom, they dropped the bottom out on us. And we said, holy crap. I mean, I'm telling you, when I'm talking the water went dead, it dead. The water, you could almost watch it falling. It was like somebody pulled the plug on the bathtub. The water was going down. Like what Jeremy just said, we had creeks that had water in them, but now the river had dropped so much, the creeks were just pouring out and making mud line, heavy flow.
Stop it.
Oh, Jerry.
Stop it. So, you know what? That's payback because me and Danny were being mean to Jerry earlier. So now that's payback. So, okay, that's fine. That's
so, so we had no flow and we're like, oh, crap. Now what are we going to do? Well, now this is where, and this is what brought tonight's subject on us.
Yeah.
Is being diverse enough to have the confidence to say, okay, we have no flow. I guess we're going to drag. And without a hitch, without much thought and concern about what we was going to do, we have drug enough that we're comfortable. Like, okay, we have no flow. Fine. We'll drag. If we got enough flow to suspend, we'll suspend. If we got enough flow to bump, we'll bump. And if the conditions are right to spot lock and anchor, the fish are relating heavily to cover and they don't want to move, then we can do that as well. So if you don't take anything away from tonight's show, what I want everyone to really concentrate on is being comfortable with all the different techniques so that if a situation arises or you put into a strange environment, maybe you go to a new body of water or a friend invites you to go and things are different, have the confidence to switch and be okay with it. Because I don't know, Jeremy, how many times you think we've said in the course of the time we've been doing the show that confidence is key, no matter how many guests we have on the show, no matter what show, what channel, what you go to, everyone will tell you confidence and time on the water is how you catch fish.
Yep.
And so tonight's thought process is make sure that if you don't really drag much, teach yourself how to drag and teach yourself how to drag well. If you don't really suspend drift or spot, I think anchor, I think is everyone's kind of go-to, but spot locking accurately, and things like that. Whatever you feel that you're weakest at, make it a goal to try to turn that into something you're very comfortable with. So that when things flip the switch on you, it's no big deal. And you get flip. So, if you guys looked at that graph, how fast that water dropped, I think our river dropped 4 feet in overnight. All right. We all know that fish are not going to typically be on a feeding frenzy. Most likely they go into, it's just their nature to seek refuge, go to deeper water or what's up, Down East Tackle? What's going on? We see Curtis is in the house as well. Thanks for stopping in, buddy. And normally that's not a good bite when a fish dumps like that, but we got to dragging and, we said, we think the fish are going to be in the cover. We started dragging cover and I don't want to turn it into an infomercial, but if you guys looked on your side scan and you saw this, would you say, yeah, I should drag through that? Or would you say, I should probably stick to the outside edge of this and go on? I can tell you what we did and what worked, and that is we drug baits smack dab down the middle of that nasty stuff. One, we had the confidence in our dragging weights, and we had the confidence in our rig setups as far as putting floats on, keeping our bait up out of there. And our dragon weights that we have used. Man, there are so many good products out there. It doesn't really matter what you use. It's the confidence. Yeah. A year or so ago, there ain't no way in the hell you would catch me putting my bait down in that and expecting anything, but everything's lost. Do you know that we drug that type of scenario all day and never lost a rig? But it takes some time. We were dragging upriver, right? Now, give you an idea how dead our water was, 2 ounces. Dragging upriver through that with peg floats, 3-inch peg floats, and it only took 2 ounces to keep it down. So, yeah, it was rough. But the confidence gave us the ability to, hey, we're just going to have to do it. That's just, this is what we got to do today. And we caught fish. We caught quite a few fish. We didn't go home skunked, and we didn't end up, taking home a monster, but that's, just luck and opportunity. But the big thing is to make sure that you can change your techniques and strategy. Have a plan B. And I've seen El Gato posted earlier an A, B, an A, a B, a C, a D, an E. Have all of those tools in your tool belt, just like your box. And if one tool isn't working, then you need to go grab another one.
I had to highlight that.
Oh my, that is pretty funny though.
I know. I love it. But and I've talked about this a lot to where, I always pick out a couple spots that I think the fish might be. And look, I've had to get it out of my head so many times about just being stubborn and saying, oh, well, we caught big fish here a month ago. We need to and end up spending an hour or two in a spot that we don't need to be. I've still have to get it out of my head. And sometimes it hurts my feelings to leave a spot because, man, we tore them up here last weekend. Yeah. But I've got to get it out of my head, like quit fishing for those ghosts that used to be there. What's going on, Doc? Good to see you, brother.
There it is. Doc Lang's in the house. Welcome, brother.
Welcome. Getting that thought out of your head. And I found myself doing that, not this past Sunday, but Sunday before for the challenge we had with the Blues Crew guys. I went right back to the same spot where I caught good fish the day before for the Veterans Tournament. Well, luckily, I had my senses enough to where we set up. I marked fish, set up there for a while, but just those little dink taps, which we normally don't get. I don't get dink tap much at all. Something I don't deal with a lot.
Right.
But I'm like, well, what is going on? Why are these fish dinking and pulling back and they won't commit? And when it came to they started taking baits off of my hooks, I said, wait a minute. Hang on. Get the stubbornness out. I figured out what was going on. It was them little gaff tops. Those little gaff tops do that. Yep. I said, you know what? Time to go. Time to get out. It hurt my feelings to leave that spot. But time to go. We got out. We went to another spot, marked some good fish, caught one nice one. Then after that, sure enough, I even caught one, but the little gaff top started again. I said, time to go. You got to get out of your head what you want. What do the fish want? What's going to catch fish? And, we moved. And finally, in a little bit of a desperate move, I said, I'm going to look at that old barge over there. I'm going to go look at it. I'm going to find a way to set up on it. And when I passed with my side scan, marked a couple of really good marks, and hey, it ended up paying off for us until we caught the shark, and that was it after that.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes you gotta know.
Gate, that's not something you guys would normally done, and you pulled a 71-pound fish out there.
Yep.
El Gato says the same thing. After going through A, B, C, and D doesn't work, you got to think where the fish are not supposed to be, and boom, Fish City. If you've tried, the most natural thing is to eliminate water, right? Before you even get out there, start eliminating water in your mind. As okay, this is happening. They most likely are not here, or here. So I'm going to start here because, in my mind, chasing these fish is kind of like playing chess. All right, we're trying to anticipate their move. We're trying to anticipate what they're going to do next based on this information that we have available to us, and we're trying to cut them off and head them off and put baits in front of them to catch them. Greenwell says, tournament anglers, we get obsessed with finding multiple areas to fish, plans A, B, and C. I look at techniques this way. The more I know, the better prepared I am. Yeah. Greenwell. Greenwell is a great example of, you can watch him out there. He could be bumping. He could be suspend drifting. He could be anchored. And I don't think he used to suspend drift much. I think over the last year to two, Mike has really, got into the suspend drifting. Correct me if I'm wrong, and he got comfortable at it. He got good at it. And now it's no brainer. If he doesn't have enough flow to bump, but he does have enough flow to suspend drift, then we're going to suspend drift. We're not going to just go sit on anchor and wait for a bite. We're going to actively go put our baits in front of as many fish as we can. Because
100%.
What's up, Danny Stone? Danny's in the house. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Danny? So in the interest of unexpected conditions, and being diverse, I've got a scenario for you.
All right.
A little bit on the opposite side of things. Let's just say that unbeknownst to you, just upstream from your fishing area, got a whole bunch of rain, whole bunch of flow that you didn't realize had happened. Now, this is kind of inspired by what Danimal was saying about his area back up in the comments. It made me think of that. You get to the river, y'all come around, and it is nothing but muddy, trashy, nothing but debris in the water, a lot more flow than what y'all expected there to be, especially with trash in the water.
Yeah.
And go. How are you going to respond?
All right. Well, luckily for us, we deal with this situation a lot. So what's up, Brandon? So we still fish. All right. It's never in our nature to go home. We will figure it out. We'll find a way. So with a lot of debris in the water, we're going to be looking to inside bends. We're going to be looking for any type of current breaks that's going to help push debris and deflect it away from an area. All right. Also, when you have increased flow in that situation, your fish are also going to be looking for a deflection of sort.
Yep.
If you are fishing dirty, trashy water and you bring your lines in and they are completely covered in leaves and debris, okay, your fish are not sitting down there getting blasted in the face by debris. They're not. They are going to move. They're going to find current breaks, back eddies. They're going to find anywhere they can get out of and not be getting pelted in the face with everything coming down the river. Now they'll hide and bunker and bury themselves back behind logs and rocks and things like that. But they eventually they're going to move, right? And they do have to feed. Yep. So they're not going to sit there and just get hammered in the face with all this debris. So inside bends, current breaks of any. A barge could be a current break. I know a lot of areas have the wing dikes, which we've talked about before, and things like that. But reading your river becomes critical at that point. Seeing where you do have back eddies, calm water, debris is less. Obviously safety is a concern. You don't want to put yourself in harm's way, but the bait isn't. And honestly, 99% of the time we're going shallow. Okay. We're going shallow. The bait's moved out. It's moving closer to the bank. They're going for that calmer, slower stuff. We all know that when you get close to the bank, the flow decreases. Often in our situations, the current will reverse and go backwards. So I see Zach says he's done getting bait. It sounds like he did pretty good. So that's awesome.
Cool. So another question, related to your scenario here. A lot of times we're doing stuff on anchor in those situations.
Right.
I know the answer, but I want to hear you explain it to everyone. Sure. How do you know that you're either in the wrong position or in the right position when you're dealing with river trash?
Wrong position or right position for me is all about what's on my line, what my line and what my rods are doing.
Yep. 100%.
If your lines are like I said, being just completely ate up with leaves and debris, first of all, what typically happens is you start getting leaves and debris on your line, and it will start lifting your bait off the bottom. Right? You can put good heavy weight on there, but after a while, enough leaves build up on your line, it will begin to lift your bait. So you have no idea where your bait is anyway. So. And like we said before, the fish don't want to be, they're not going to be suspended. They're going to be hunkered as tight as they possibly can to the bottom behind whatever. And if they've got to move, they're probably going to do it quickly and get out of there and avoid every sharp stick and twig and everything coming down, logs, trees, whatever, refrigerators floating down the river. They don't want to be a part of that. So your line and your rods are going to tell you, you can watch your rod and all of a sudden it just starts vibrating. And you're like, what in the world? My bait's having a seizure. All right, we have a lot of grass in the water, and the bait and fish like to use it as current breaks. We mainly have issues with the eelgrass. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So your rod tip, it'll start vibrating and just looking funny. And normally that's something on your line. It's down there going through the current. In my experience, it's best you need to just get out of there. And like I said, find an area with less debris, less trash, less movement.
Yep. Now I know for me, we especially during the spring, we hit that a lot, because the rivers are up and the rains and everything's being flushed down the river all the way to me. And I've seen so many times that we'll get anchored up in a current scene, and the fast, trashy water is, let's say, to my left, slow water is to my right. I'm right in that scene. I've literally seen where my rods on the left side of the boat are constantly doing this rhythmic little bounce that they get, but then the rods on the right side of the boat stay still. And I've seen so many times that first rod that's not bouncing usually gets the vast majority of the action. The one that's closest to the trash, but not in it.
Right. And
you can forget about a bite on those rods that are just doing this the whole time. You can forget it. It ain't happening. But I've literally, using spot lock on my boat, it's a big advantage in a case like this. I'll throw my rods out. All of them are trash. Okay, well, I'll jog myself over just a little bit. And when I start splitting the difference where one side's trashy and one side's not, that's how I know I am right where I want to be. It has been so many times we've caught good fish doing that. On that first rod out of the trash. I'm 2 feet difference. 2 feet. That's all it is. But it makes a difference.
Well, that's their advantage. That's their ambush position is to be able to sit outside of that and pick up things as they come by. Did I freeze on you?
Yes, but about like 10 days, 7 to 10 days later, depending on exactly where you are. But yeah, it ends up down here. Trust me.
Danny's throwing messages in a bottle out there for you, bud.
It'll take a little while, but yeah, I would get it eventually.
Yeah, jog feature on your trolling motor is worth its weight in gold. I think at one of the shows that we've done is like, what is the big difference? When you're talking about upgrading your gear, going from, somebody that just likes to go out and catch some fish and they don't really care, and to people that, start specifically targeting trophy fish. And in my opinion, it's your trolling motor. Trolling motor is the biggest.
I tell you a little trick that I learned this spring. In fact, it was kind of one of those what the hell kind of moments. Let's see if this works. The flow was fast, and I knew my trolling motor would not hold my boat on spot lock. It just wasn't going to happen. But I also did not want to throw my anchor down in there because I probably wasn't going to get it back in that matted revetment. It's got a few of my anchors already, and it's got a big hoop net down there too. So I'm like, I said, let me try something here. We went over to the bank, maybe 30 feet off from where I wanted to be, tied off my boat on a tree, backed my boat up, let it really tighten up good. And I just used that trolling motor on heading lock to actually just move my boat over. My anchor line had the boat, but I was just using my heading lock to maybe swing me out a little bit more, like to jog me over. And I tell you, it worked pretty darn good. That is not the last time I will be using that.
Really?
Yep. So I imagine you could do the same thing on anchor and just use that trolling motor on heading lock to jog you back and forth a little bit, and it doesn't burn your battery up.
Well, I can tell you that in a lot of situations in lakes, no flow is, a lot of people have to double anchor. Well, I don't like to throw one anchor. I definitely don't want to throw two anchors.
Yep.
And so one of the tricks that we do is we will throw an anchor out the back of the boat and let it hang up, and then put the trolling motor on and put it on a heading sensor and just have it, set continuous. You might set it on speed 1 or 2 or something like that, depending on our wind. But yeah, you could double anchor with one anchor with your trolling motor. And so it comes into, there you go, cinder block.
That would be correct, but I would need a lot of cinder blocks, because if that trolling motor won't hold my big boat, it would take an engine block to hold that thing in place. But for a lot of cases, yes, you are 100% correct. Just not for me most of the time.
Are people still use a center block for a for an anchor?
Yep.
But yeah, we needed to dig in, so we got to use the grappling style anchors. There's a million different ones out there, and there's some good ones. I would just say that
sometimes you just have to be creative. Sometimes you have to ask yourself, I wonder if this will work. And if you're desperate enough to get baits in a certain spot, trust me, the ridiculous starts becoming a good idea.
Well, we end up so we go up to the dam a lot. And like I said earlier, a lot of the times, depending on what gates they have open and what kind of flow is going on, there could be major reverse current happening up there at the dam.
Yep.
And we were launched, we do what we can. We launched.
He is not kidding either. Like, not even close. He is not kidding. That thing weighed a ton.
Yeah. And getting creative and launching baits as far over there as we can into that calm water. We'll take surf rods on the boat with us just so we can reach those spots that we can't reach with our regular rods when we're fishing at the dam. Or we will go as close as we're legally allowed to the dam and then throw our baits directly in front of us straight at the dam if the conditions are right. And so there's, when you want to get your bait somewhere, you'll find a way. You get creative.
You do.
Roger, have you ever bumped the reverse current at the dam? Oh yeah. Just because the water's not going the most natural direction doesn't mean the fish aren't doing the exact same thing. So yeah, we've bumped reverse current. It doesn't happen a lot that you have enough flow in the reverse current to bump, but we've actually had to do that in tournament situations. Just the scenario, it was just called right for it. But that's kind of the point of the show tonight, is being able to take any situation and say, all right, that's all right. I can work with this.
I've done that bumping. I have done that bumping when my trolling motor was not enough. I've kicked my big motor and idle, and then I use my trolling motor to do the rest and bump with 12 ounces. I have done it. That is crazy, but it works.
Yeah, bumping with 12 ounces. Zach and I did that once. We went to the Mississippi, and we were bumping with 10 ounces before somebody said, well, why don't you just let the boat go faster? And they're like, well, how fast can the boat go? I was like, just go until you can feel it. And I think the boat was going 2 mile an hour, and we were bumping with like 5s, and it was effective. When we was trying to slow the boat down to like half a mile an hour or 1 mile an hour on the Mississippi.
No.
Yeah. 10s was, I don't know how many yards each bump took, but it was going so fast that we were hopping over all kinds of fish.
And you see, it's I think I'm maybe one of the few people that experiences this, but normally in main channel Mississippi, there's nothing wrong. If you're covering 20 feet every bump, you're still okay. But for us, that's a bad deal, because the way our revetment does, it makes these big sharp humps that are really close together. If I try to move that fast, all I'm going to do is go from hilltop to hilltop. I'm never going to get a bait down in that trough. That's where we kind of did the thing of using the big motor, using a lot of weight, and going slow. That way we can cover the contours like we need to.
Yeah, because if you're just like I was saying earlier, if you're just hopping, you're moving that, if it's pulling that hard, you're hopping right over top of all of them little cracks and crevices that the whole reason you're bumping is to get your bait down there in their face. And if you're slowing your boat down to the point where your bait's just flying, as far as how fast is too fast to bump or too fast to drag or too fast to drift, in my opinion, there's no number. I
was told by a tournament angler recently. Oh, my light went off. That's interesting. I was told by a tournament angler recently that fished my area, and he was like, I've been listening to you talk about that for a year now, and you are not exaggerating. He said, that is wild. I said, see, told you.
Yeah. short sinker leader helps. Yeah, that's also.
Whoa.
There you go.
Let there be light, huh? I miss my studio at home. I miss it. I miss it. I miss it. I don't have to deal with this.
Yeah. Being home and having all my stuff right here and my other monitor and being able to keep up with everything does make things nice. But I completely forgot where I was heading. But so being able to figure out, to change things. So last night I went fishing with a buddy of mine and his friend, and we went to Hoover Reservoir, and I was like, all right, well, there's going to be a thermocline, so let's go up there and figure out what we got to do and what's going on. Well, we get up there, and the thermocline is anywhere, depending on what pool we were in and what area, it was anywhere from around 10 foot to 15 foot thermocline.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what's your most natural reaction is to, okay, I need to drag baits in shallower water above the thermocline. That seems to be the most logical thing to do. There's bait. Now, in the thermocline, it seemed to be, oxygen rich. There was a lot of activity in the thermocline line, a lot of bait fish and a lot of other big marks of fish in that cloud, basically. We couldn't get bit. We could not buy a bite. And we traveled all over. I talked to some folks and read some messages where the folks had said that they were fishing deep, and I went to deep, and I was like, I don't know where you found fish deep, but I'm deep, and I still ain't marked a fish below thermocline.
Yeah.
And so we ended up we did catch a couple fish last night, but we ended up setting up and targeting flatheads, and that didn't go as expected either. But we continued to fight and change all night. We finally stopped at about 3:00 this morning is when I think we finally pulled the trigger and started loading up. But it's having all those. So I was using my Patriot float and suspending baits under a float way back behind the boat. We had planer boards out. We had suspended rods out. We had dragging rods out. We had some with floats on them, lifting them, some without floats, not lifting them. And we anchored, we drug, we suspended, and we just could not get bit. So,
and unfortunately, it happens that way. And I know we were having a discussion earlier about establishing patterns.
Yeah.
The big problem is you got to catch a couple of fish to make a pattern. That's the one thing. You cannot develop a pattern until you catch at least a couple of fish.
Right.
Start figuring out what's going on. And that is, look, I've had it happen to me quite a few times. It's a frustrating thing. You mark fish, and it's like, what is going on here? What's the problem? Why can't I, man.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the thing, having so many tools in your toolbox that you can rely on. And then, like I said before, the confidence that you need to actually go do those other techniques or try those other things. I was confident in everything I tried last night. I thought, all right, well, I'm going to suspend, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And I was confident that everything and what I was doing, but I just didn't get the results.
Yeah. And another thing about being confident, and this is a whole other subject that we will get into one of these days, is that the fish you are marking on your sonar are actually fish, or actually catfish that you want to catch. That's a whole other thing of confidence right there, is looking at that mark and saying, yep, that's him. I'm going to get him.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And we got a series lined up for you guys, a surprise series that we're going to do. Actually sooner than later, I saw that. That was a good question, Michael Murillo.
It is. That is a good question.
I can give my 2 cents, and I'll let Jeremy give his 2 cents.
Yeah, go for it.
For me, 2 fish is actually starting a pattern. I will actually use 2 fish caught as a sway kind of. Okay, all right. So this kind of 2 fish now have come this way. I will probably start not maybe targeting, but putting more efforts into whatever it was that caught those two fish and see if I start getting more results. So maybe I've got 2 rods and those 2 rods are getting caught fish or that one bait or whatever. And then I'm going to up that. All right. What we almost never do is switch everything over until we've got more than 2 fish, 3 fish, 4 fish. Now, all of a sudden we've established, all right, we do have a pattern. This is what's happening, like dragging through the wood. We tried dragging, next to the wood. I was dragging out in the channel. We had boards spread far and wide, but by far the activity was coming from the wood. And we just started making sure we concentrated and kept good fresh bait in the wood and become a pattern. But is 2 fish enough to consider on a pattern? I wouldn't say cut clear, but is enough to get your attention and start putting your focus on what is working there and see if you can't increase that number.
Yep. I know for me, it's pretty simple. 1 fish gets my attention. 2 fish, I'm gonna make a little change, see what's happening. 3 fish, I'm making some serious adjustments at 3 fish.
That's all right.
I'm starting to really adjust some stuff up at 3 fish. Like, okay, we're on to something here.
What's up, Jim? Buckeye Catfishing. Justin says he's on.
And Mr. John here makes a really good point. In the interest of changing things, trying to spur a bite, and something to look at as you're trying to figure out a pattern is how you rig your bait. Even sometimes how you hook your bait may mean the difference in the fish biting a certain rig or not. It's all little things to pay attention to as to why did the fish hit that rod and not this one.
You guys have heard it. If most of you have been here long enough to know that, wintertime is one of my favorite times, and my favorite cut is a fillet.
Ooh, and I like how you said that.
The fillet. And so we experiment with that. Of course, we did a show on. Jeremy actually did a very great presentation on.
We did a show. We basically did a cut bait show where I went on my front porch. I took some old shad that I had and I carved them babies up in about every way you could possibly imagine. If you want to go back in the Muskrat Adventures archives, that was a very informational show about different ways of cutting bait. Let me tell you.
Yeah, because you'd be surprised. You watch enough shows and you fish enough on the water, you'll know that sometimes they want the heads. Sometimes it's the body section. Sometimes it's the fillet. But if you only do the one certain cut or the one certain thing, and that doesn't turn out to be the one thing that they want, you're going home disappointed. So Dad says, Roger learned coolness talk. That's right, buddy.
We're getting there. Getting there.
The fillet on the slicker. We'll get the.
I love it.
So no, it's just having different techniques, different tricks up your sleeve. But yeah, cuts of bait is definitely make a big difference. You could take a small bait and cut it right and make it look like a big bait.
That's right.
You could take a big bait and cut it down into small baits. So there's lots of different things to try and do until you find what is working, what is consistent. And then at that point, us anyway, I know that Zach and I and Skip, we will kind of change. All right, this is what's working. We're going to try and move, but we will still have the outside variable. We'll still have that 1 or 2 off in case it could be better, or in case not every fish is into this.
Wrong kind of fillet. That's different.
Yeah,
that's a little bit different. I know for us, even paying attention to where you're getting bites, but not hookups, that determines a lot for me into how I'm hooking that bait, the size, the profile of that piece of bait, especially for me when that water gets cold. I love those SpongeBobs. I do. I love them. I love them because now I've got less meat hanging off the back of that hook, but I've still got a good size bait to put enough scent in the water.
Yep. Doc Lang showed us the SpongeBob cut, and honestly, on our big gizzard shad or even on our skipjack and things like that, we absolutely love that cut because let's face it, you're throwing a gut pocket out there, and within if the gut pocket even makes it past the cast, it's not staying in there very long. So then you have this empty cavity out there, and if you're fishing current, this empty cavity, yep, exactly what Jeremy's showing you there. It's just going to start spinning in circles, and not only is that not a very natural presentation, it also you have a rib cage that now the fish can grab that and not your hook, and there's nothing there. So there's no point in having it.
Yeah.
Square pants give me a big butt though.
Nice.
Greg Burgess wants to know if you can use gumbo file for fish.
Gumbo filet. That's how you pronounce that.
Is he saying filet?
Yeah, but that's how it's spelled. That's actually ground up sassafras to put in gumbo. That's filet. You got to put the little thing behind the E. But yeah, that's how you say that.
Now, Dad's going to take my coolness talk points away.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
Yeah, so like Danny showed here, all the fish that he was catching were the rod that was closest to the bank. So make an adjustment, change that. Let's see. Greenwell says, Friday I was drifting and catching smaller fish. I put a rod out with a noisemaker on it, and boom, a 40 smashed that rod. Was it the noise, or did I just finally run into that big fish?
Interesting.
One fish is not a pattern. So it's I know that it's hard on your ego and self-esteem to try to figure out, like, man, as soon as I put a rod on there, boom, caught a fish. But Mike knows that that could have been coincidence, could not have been. But in order to prove that theory, you'd have to have had more than one fish. So we've all tried that too. We're running with rattle, without a rattle, with a float, without a float. I'm confident that rattles and floats help. Will you not catch fish without it? Absolutely not. You're still going to catch fish. Do they help? I think my personal opinion is I think that rattles get fish's attention and your bait does the rest.
Yeah.
And we've had this scenario a million times about hearing a tap from the kitchen. You hear tap, 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 tap from the living room. You eventually say, what is that? And you run to the kitchen and you forget about the tap because there's a fresh plate of hot chocolate chip cookies that just come out of the oven sitting on the table. And I don't care where that tap is coming from. I want one of them cookies. Right.
Yeah. You done forgot all about what that noise
was. And in my opinion, and that's all it is, guys, is my opinion, is that the rattles and stuff will get fish's attention, maybe curiosity, that maybe it triggers something.
Right there. Muskrat and Creole episode number 29. That's our cut bait episode.
There you go. Man, look at Brian. He was all over.
I like it.
Thanks, Brian. So yeah, I think that it gets their attention. Your bait does the rest. Oh.
Yeah, I know my personal opinion, because I've experimented with this a lot, for about the past 3-4 years now. I used to run half and half. I used to run half my rigs with the rattles, half my rigs without. I stayed like that for a long time. And in my experience, if I only catch one fish, it was always on the rig with the rattles. Now, if I caught 2 or 3 fish, it would be maybe divided between the two. I'm convinced that the rattles, if the fish are really active, I don't think them rattles make that much of a difference. If they're active, you got good bait in the area, you put it in their face, dude, they're going to hit it. I think the rattles, when it gets a little tough, I think those rattles pick me up maybe 1 or 2 fish that I would not have caught otherwise. That's my personal opinion on the rattles and all this other stuff.
Look at there. Danny Stone says, for the longest time, I was convinced I couldn't use rattles from the bank on the Mississippi, and I was wrong about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got Richard says there's a plate of chocolate chip cookies in the kitchen now. Guess where he's heading?
Yeah.
Man, I haven't had chocolate chip cookies. Man, I know,
right? The problem is, and Dad will vouch for me here, like growing up at Mom and Dad's house, we hardly ever got to eat actual baked chocolate chip cookies because the roll of dough would never survive. It just wouldn't make it that far. I mean, it was very rare that a roll of dough would survive long enough to actually get cooked.
Yeah. Yeah. Brian says that 55 he caught was on a rattle.
Yes,
and so there's enough fishermen out there using rattles for me to believe that it just like chicken. Okay.
Yeah.
Like you could say what you want, but chicken does catch fish. And can it catch big fish? It does catch big fish as well.
Yep, it does.
So for us, now the funny thing with me is for us, it seems like the only time chicken really seems to work is the hot months, the warm months. And for what it's worth, it seems like when the fish are on mussel beds, chicken is the bait. When they are, I mean, I'm guessing they eat mussels all year long, but they really seem to be concentrating hard on them throughout, the hot months. And so just like rattles, there's enough people using rattles out there and catching good fish to know that they definitely do not hurt a thing.
No.
Are they responsible for all the big fish caught? No. But in my opinion, if it ain't hurting it, it can only be helping it. So.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's just like I said. Look, chicken works. I know I give people crap for using chicken, but look, you know what? I've won 2 YouTube tournaments with chicken. So hey, it happened, and we've caught a couple of nice fish amongst the small ones on chicken. We have, and I think there's been some guys out there. I believe Palmetto has done one. I think Dieter did like a little series on it where he actually compared just straight up raw chicken breast to like all the Jello stuff and the Kool-Aid stuff. And the consensus now is that the Jello and the Kool-Aid stuff doesn't really help that much with the catching of the fish. But what I will say is that Jello toughens that chicken. It helps it stay on the hook a little bit better. I will say that.
Right. Yeah. We hardly ever put anything on the chicken unless we're cooking it on the grill. So Greenwell says this extended weekend, he caught multiple fish in the 20-pound range on chicken. Hey, Michelle, it's all mines in the house says, I have chocolate cupcakes in the kitchen. Does that count?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Chocolate.
Especially in her kitchen. In her kitchen, yes, it definitely counts.
Yeah. So the tapping noise coming from the kitchen, I think Michelle could get anyone in chat to her kitchen.
I believe so.
With some chocolate, anything. Lemon pepper for the grill this afternoon. There you go. Big wrench.
But it's all about, keeping all this. Because look, it's a lot of information that a lot of us talk about on a lot of shows on a lot of nights. Months and months and months and years go by of all this information. But, hopefully if one little thing that we say makes a little light bulb go off one day and say, well, wait a minute, I'm struggling here. Wait, I remember something crazy that they talked about. But you know what? I'm in that situation right now. Hey, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And hey, if that one little thing catches somebody a fish that otherwise they wouldn't have caught, I'm happy. My work here is done.
Yeah. We try to say it often. Obviously we had the was able to do some giveaways and have some fun and say thank you to the folks that come hang out with us and leave us comments and send us private messages. Some of these folks message us privately and I
love them. I love them.
Yep. Tell us that they enjoy what's going on. And it makes, if you haven't noticed how many shows start and finish and never really take off or stick around a long period of time, it's tough. It's not easy to.
It is.
Just think about, we got a lot of folks here that are here every Tuesday night, and we are ever so grateful and appreciate every single one of you, whether you make it every week or not. But it is hard to be somewhere every single week at 8:00. Everything else is on pause, and we're going to do this. And those I would never message y'all, Brian. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, but I'll tell you what, Brian. The big thing is that when you message us and you're asking like really good questions, we know that you're engaged and you want the information. And we do our very best to pass along information. It's not all, trust me, me and Jeremy didn't recreate the wheel here. We did not invent fishing. We are only regurgitating at best a lot of information that we've picked up along the way, experiences that we've had. We've had some great teachers and, pillars in our community. Doc Lang's hanging out with us tonight. Doc Lang, it is 9:00 p.m. and he will forget more by the time he goes to bed tonight about fishing than I probably will ever know.
We are not worthy.
We are not worthy.
We are not worthy.
And so, we do our best to try to help and pass along and, try to keep things fun, lighthearted, drama free. We,
Palmetto, what's going on, brother?
What's up, Kevin? He says, driving home.
Keep it between the ditches.
Between the ditches. Because he got to cover one of his eyes. Hey, there's Rusty Moorfields in the house. Sorry. Where'd he go? Sorry, I'm late. I was on an important call. Well, that's all right, buddy. He's an important man. Rusty is. Don't let him fool you.
Yeah.
He's a big deal.
Kind of like Jerry. He's a big deal now. I gotta watch how I talk to Jerry. He's famous, got millions of views, and he's on a Mad Cats Pro staff now. And I'm telling you, he's just about too good to be hanging around me now. I'm telling you.
Well, the light's always on for you, Jerry. So don't you go nowhere.
See, I have my phone on Do Not Disturb, so I can't get the angry messages he's sending me right now. So
I'm on my laptop, so my phone is. I've still been able to get messages. So every now and that's what these looks are for, is pop-up messages.
Yeah. I've got some emojis incoming.
Incoming emojis. Yeah, I'm sure. As soon as you turn your phone back over to take it off Do Not Disturb, you're in there. Becca says, I really hate to, but I got to cut out a chat. I'll still be listening, though. Hope everybody has a blessed night. Prayers and blessings. Much love. Well, Becca, you have a great night. Thank you for hanging out with us as always. My brother made it in, but you're just, what is it? Day late and $1 short. That's what it was. I was trying to figure out.
Hey.
Oh, man. Check it out. That's Kevin. I love the way he said that. Jerry has always been pro staff. They just didn't realize it until now. Big congratulations there. A lot of good stuff going on in the community. People getting recognized. The thing is that, I believe that a lot of the mindset is changing as far as what companies look for as far as representation.
It is.
It used to be all about tournament anglers. If you was not a tournament angler, if you didn't run circuits and place well, then there wasn't really worth your time. But in reality, you go to a tournament circuit, the majority of the folks at the tournament already have their gear, already have the rods, reels, most of them have sponsors. A lot of them have this, that. They're not there looking to be influenced. Okay. You may get influence on the lower half of the field. And you may get influence on some of the spectators, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Influence on social media, the sky's the limit, depending on the individual and the platforms that they choose to use. Your influence could be nationwide. And so I think it's really cool to see a lot of these big companies picking up folks that are just social influencers that can help build their brand. And as a content creator, and I don't really consider ourselves influencers, because I've always been a bad influence.
Yeah, I'm about to say I've been a bad influence many times.
Maybe, but so congratulations. There's been a lot of good stuff in the community. I don't want to really start pinpointing everything out because I'll forget somebody and hurt somebody's feelings. I don't want to do that at all.
There's that much of it. There's that much of it going on, and it just goes to show you that the community is growing. We've got more and more companies that are popping up and getting involved and kind of making and everybody's making their little unique mark, or that's what they're trying to do. Is get out there, make a mark saying, hey, this is what we do. This is us. Here we are. It's really awesome to see. And hopefully it just keeps growing.
I don't see any reason for it to stop. I think now that companies are, Kevin said it just right there. Now that companies are understanding their value. And, it's going to domino and, kind of take off in wildfire. And like Kevin. You know, Kevin has a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
Kevin has a great following, great fan base, carries himself well, and his social influence is he has a big footprint in the community. And
absolutely.
And companies are, you know, once one company grabs a hold of that and starts getting, then it just, you know, it's going to domino and take off. So
exactly, you know, like the whole pro staff thing, it very much goes both ways, you know, and that's something that I've learned just in my experience is that, you know, when you're asked to be pro staff by any company out there, you know, that company is asking you to represent them. So obviously they see something in you that they like and they want to be a part of. But at the same time, that company is also representing you.
Yes.
It goes both ways, you know, and it's a great thing when people find a group of people to be pro staff by that all share a common goal, a common interest. Everybody's moving the same direction and has the same goals. That's when you know you're in the right spot.
Yeah, because just as quickly as individuals' actions and whatnot can blemish a company making poor decisions and, you know, whatever represents. There's been a lot of shows and a lot of, you know, different talks about, you know, pro staff and what that means. But what people fail to remember is that pro and pro staff does not stand for professional, right? What's it stand for, Jeremy?
Yeah, definitely don't stand for professional. It stands for promotional.
Promotional.
Remember, you're advertising. What you are promoting the brand. There are people who are pro staff for companies that don't fish. Like a good example of a guy I know very well. He is pro staff for Tracker Boats. Well, he's a salesman at a dealership. That's why he's pro staff promotional, because he's a salesman. He sells the boats. You know, that's the way things like that work.
Rusty says on the flip side, there are some overnight social media folks that have no clue what they're doing and pass bad information to people, yet they're getting sponsored in pro staff positions. And that is true, but
the cream will rise to the top. It always does. It always does.
That's right. Yeah. You could pretty much just leave it at that. But companies, well, they'll either learn or they won't learn. I mean, there's only two options, I guess there are. Kevin says, know your value. If they want you on their team, don't settle for less than what you're worth.
Yep.
And so, so, you know, all the companies that have approached me so far, okay, there's none. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But no, I completely understand. You know, you gotta, it's a sacrifice for you as well. If you can't just, you know, take, like for me, I've got certain gear that I believe in, that I use, that I trust, that I'm going to use. And if somebody comes in and says, hey, we want you to stop believing in that and use this instead, I'm not going to be. Now, could I try somebody's product and become a believer? Yeah, that's possible. But, you know, a lot of folks just like here, you see people do it. They'll jump, they'll be this brand. And then all of a sudden they'll get a better deal here. So that this brand, and then if you're paying attention, what does that really say? You know?
Yeah.
So
what are you
right on the money
buying? If you weren't pro staff by anybody, no discounts, no nothing like that, what are you buying with your own money? That's what's going to say a lot about what you really believe in, because it's easy to believe in something if you're getting it for half price. Yeah. But what are you going to spend? If you have to pay what everybody else pays, where are you at? What are you going to trust? That's what makes the difference.
Hey, welcome in. Paula Smith says, hey, everyone, I'm late. Say an extra prayer for me. I go for my 6th month CT scan tomorrow. I'm a little nervous, but if it comes back clear, I only have to go once a year for 4 years. Well, awesome. Paula, our thoughts and prayers are with you, girl. We're hoping that all goes well. You've been down a long road, but you're a tough cookie. If anybody can go through this and come out shining on the other side like a diamond, it's you. You can handle the pressure.
Believe it.
That's right.
Yeah, because I know I'm like that about like rods. I guarantee you, I've got one of a lot of different brands. I do. I have a lot of different rods, and I can't sit here and tell you that, oh, this one's bad, or only go buy this one. Only that depends. Depending on what I'm doing, depends on what rods in the boat. I got all. If y'all seen me fish, I got all kinds of stuff sprawled out over the back of that boat. I've got my favorites that, let's say, they come with me more than the others. I'll say that. But to say, oh, that rod's junk, don't go buy that. I've never come across that situation yet. No rod I've ever bought is just junk. Oh, I'm not buying that again. Yeah. Maybe it's not good for my situation, but it's not really junk. It might be great for somebody else.
Yeah. For the most part, since we don't want to go down a big rabbit hole here with tackle and gear, but just rods specifically, in my opinion, just about every rod out there on the market is going to catch the fish that we all fish for. Personal preference and confidence, again, is where it lies. Are there better products than others? Yeah, I'm sure there are better quality. But in the end, it's mostly personal preference and, right
there.
Caught a 76 with 2 rod. That's right.
Biggest fish we ever caught was a $40 ugly stick. So, hey.
That story is told a million times over again.
Oh, yeah.
Is it was the cheapest rod or whatever. But me personally, and I just leave it at that. It's my own personal thoughts and opinion. I prefer to support companies and businesses that are in it for the right reasons, whether small business, big, people that give back to the community or have a vision or a goal that kind of aligns with mine. So I want to spend my money with people that I believe in.
And a lot of times that's the true difference in what you're buying.
Yeah.
Because some of these rods are really so similar to each other that's the difference maker, is who's that money going to. A lot of times that's what makes a difference.
That's it. And the thing is, we have a lot of options. There's no shortage, and there will not be a shortage of products for us to choose from. And
that is awesome too. That is great, because not very long ago that was not the case at all.
Yeah,
not long ago at all.
Many of us been fishing since before fishing was cool. Okay.
Yep.
It's cool now. TikTok and all these other social media platforms. It is cool. It's accepting and all that, but for a lot of us, most of us, I'm going to probably assume, been fishing for a long time back when you had to get whatever Walmart had or whatever your tiny local bait shop had that mostly carried bass gear. But hey, they got this little tiny sliver over here with some catfish stuff. And now we've gotten clear to the other side of the spectrum where, like down here, down the road from me, AJ's, it's 90% catfish, 10% bass.
Wow.
So, the spectrum has changed some. So, yeah, we have no shortage of great people and great products to choose from. Mm-hmm. How you choose to spend your money is entirely up to you.
Yep.
So, man, that went fast. I just looked at the time and was like, holy crap, it's after 9:00.
It is. It's amazing. It's amazing what kind of show you can put on when you don't have a plan.
We had a plan. We had plan B.
That's right. Didn't even have to go to the drugstore and get it.
That.
Yeah. I had to, right?
Well, guys, we appreciate you. We're going to let you guys get on out of here. We both got to get up early and get rolling. Hey, look at that. Kevin, the last minute, drops a $4.99 super chat with the boom. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that, buddy.
Keeping the lights on a little bit longer, baby.
Leaving the lights on. That's all right. Hey, you guys have a great week. Tight lines, and we'll catch you on the next cast. Good night, everybody.
Appreciate everybody.